this weekend, the first of two nicknames being the Future. We have Maycee the Future Barber taking on Evil Jessica I. Jessica Evil I, do you think on the internet she goes, "Look at my evil eye"? I hope not. Remember that time she did get cut in the forehead though? That was gross.
I always go back to, I'm gonna need everyone in here to do this chant for me. Here we go, evil, here we go. Hoo, hoo. And then not a soul in the building did it.
Jessica I, ladies and gentlemen. But when it comes to nicknames, again, for the Future Maycee Barber, she was going to be the Future. She was going to be the youngest UFC champ. The time has passed. Garry is the second fighter on this card that is the Future as a nickname. Changed them. But when it does come to this matchup, it was actually originally supposed to be Jessica I against Casey O'Neill because, listen, the UFC wants their top prospects to take on Jessica I. Unfortunately for Casey O'Neill, she had a knee injury, so in steps Maycee Barber on a 2-fight winning streak. And if you look at the Barber hype train and the way that it went, at a time she was 8-0. She fought Roxanne Modafferi. She blew out her own knee, and she really wasn't successful in that fight. Took some time off, rehabbed it, moved around between gyms, came back and fight Alexa Grasso. And that was a fun enough fight, wasn't it? Would you say?
It was a tough fight for her, to be honest, especially coming back after a long layoff. Fighting a volume-oriented striker who relies on their movement is a weird opponent to give somebody fresh off a knee injury. Because if you're thinking, hey, Maycee Barber could be a star in the future, she might have trouble moving around with a poor knee, who should we give her? Well, not someone who just strikes on the back foot the whole time, but the Grasso fight was a fun one.
So we look at that. She loses that fight. She comes back and fights Miranda Maverick. It's a win on her record. It's a win going forward. And then if you look at her last fight, she fought Montana De La Rosa, a fight that you would almost anticipate Maycee Barber was going to win. She passed that test with flying colors. So that's a good stepping stone to then get to Jessica I. And listen, Jessica I's had a weird UFC career, Matt. I never would have thought, looking through it, you think Jessica I, you think ranked contender, 135, 125. She's 5-9 in the UFC with a no contest. Like, I would have thought.
Oh, I know. Because she lost 5 straight at 135. She was like Anthony Freight Train Hamilton of women's bantamweight.
Freight Train, the Pacific Northwest zone. He just can't get any love on the
channel. I can't believe he just caught another straight. But that's the thing. Like, I gotta be honest. I was the one who was surprised Jessica I had success at 125. She was an awful fighter at 135. And I don't feel like that's a step too far at all. She lost to Betch Kohea. Betch fought for a UFC title, but it depends on what UFC division you fought for that title. If you fight for the lightweight title in the men's division, I put a lot of stock into that. She probably had to beat 7 of the best fighters we've ever seen just to get that opportunity. Jessica I won 3 fights by split decision and then fought Valentina Shevchenko. It went exactly how we all thought it would go, and ever since, I has kind of gone back into some of those poor habits that she showed before. It is interesting because she fought Araujo, who a lot of people had a lot of hype into. She's a very heavy-handed striker herself, and Jessica I was able to beat her. But the thing was, I didn't get better after the Valentina fight. She just did what she's always done. It's frustrating boxing to where she throws a lot of volume, and it's one of those weird, do I block it? Do I not worry about it because there's not a lot of power? Because for Jessica I, people love talking about her boxing. Oh, she's such a good boxer. She's such a good boxer. Not really. Like, she throws looping shots, but the thing is, if you are a very heavy-handed striker, you can get her respect almost immediately, because in most of the areas she's going to have success, it makes her hittable too. So let's say Jessica I comes into this fight like she comes into most. I'm going to try to get into a brawl. I'm going to try to make it ugly. I don't think Maycee Barber's the best fighter in the world, but she's a whole hell of a lot heavier-handed than Jessica I is. So if they just get into, like, one of these all-time, just Dawn Fry type of fights, I think Maycee Barber beats the brakes off Jessica I.
You're telling me International Fight Week isn't the time to break out the "Here we go, evil"?
Well, just, if you wear a bulletproof vest before you fight Valentina Shevchenko, you better go on to do, like, really cool things for the rest of your life. You shouldn't lose 3 of your next 4 and have us wondering what you're doing. And last thing I will say on this fight reminds me of when Kemba Walker got taken out of the Boston Celtics rotation. Just all of a sudden, it was, hey, you were an all-star with the Celtics. Hey, you're not as good anymore. Your knee might be bad. We don't really know. And for Jessica I, it was, okay, you were an all-star. You fought for a title. You must be very good. Are you? This is the last step for I. If she's not able to beat Maycee Barber, and if she does go on a 4-fight losing streak, especially at this stage of her career, I don't expect her to stay around for that much longer. But the flip side is, this is a really important fight for Maycee Barber because she has had a lot of oh-by-the-ways throughout her career. Even her losses, they're sort of weird. She had the injury, and then she fought a really good fighter coming back. But I thought she looked really good in the Montana De La Rosa fight. It got some of the bad taste out of my mouth from her previous 3 performances. So I do feel like Maycee Barber is slightly on the come-up, whereas whereas Jessica Ai seems to be going downhill.
Yeah, and I look at Ai after the win over Araujo. She got run over by Cynthia Calvillo in a 5-round fight. It was one of the oddest main events. It happened. Calvillo took her down Calvillo beat her in every single position.
She goes good as Calvillo looked? Not great.
Not good, but still, I mean,
but that's the whole point.
That girl is nasty.
But if you lose that bad to her, who's quit in 2 fights, then
the Joanne Wood fight was a little odd. She just didn't really have her timing there. She fights Jennifer Maia about a year ago. She didn't win that fight. Okay, Joanne Calderwood ended up fighting like the Jennifer Maias, the Joanne Calderwoods. We're still talking about the upper echelon of this division, which is saying something. But the weirdest thing for me for Jessica Ai was she left Strong Style. It was a big talking point. She went down to Vegas. She had success, lightning in a bottle. Before the Manon Fiorot fight that was supposed to happen earlier on this year, Jessica Ai moved from Vegas back up to Ohio with Strong Style. It was supposed to be like a feel-good comeback story. That fight didn't happen. She was booked against Andrea Leaf. That fight didn't happen. You go to her Instagram now, she's training at Strong Style still. So working that boxing, I expect a typical Jessica Ai game plan of good volume, good cardio. She'll be there in that 3rd round, and we'll see what happens. For Maycee Barber, though, clinch work, dirty boxing, oddities up against the cage behind the black line, takedown city, and I think Barber's going to have a lot of success because Barber's one of those fighters that, like I said, she's bounced around gym to gym. It was Valley Flow striking for a bit. It's been Team Alpha Male for a bit. I think you pick up pieces, and I know Team Alpha Male, when you look at just singularly one fighter like a Howley and Paiva, you go, wow, why couldn't he do any of the wrestling? Well, he tried in his last fight, but both guys got tired and had a hell of a fight. I think for Maycee Barber, though, her game is rooted in being not just so one-dimensional, mixing things up. So I look at the odds here. I open to plus 135 underdog, plus 185 right now. Barber open a minus 155, minus 230 as it stands. We have a look at the votes on Tapology. Surprised test they are to you, but I bet they aren't. I'm going to say over under 85% Barber.
I was going to say 90, so.
I'm not being nice with these, but I'm being frank. 787 is the vote total. 92% Barber, 87% by decision. For the 8% that have I, 74% by decision. Here we go, Evil. Here we go. Who? I mean, who let the dogs out? I don't think she's going to win.
Barber's going to try to win, and that means a lot. I know that's a weird thing to say. Oh, everybody's trying to win when they're in the cage. But I talk about this when we talk about Joanne Wood, all the time. Joanne Wood's perfect fight plan is basically to win a split decision. I'm going to get the fight and do a lot of kind of 50-50 spots. I'm going to hope that I land these slightly more damaging shots, and then hopefully the judges give it to me at the end of the whole thing. Like, win, lose, or draw, most Wood fights end in split decision. For Jessica Ai, she does follow a lot of that same philosophy. It's, hey, I'm going to get into exchanges. I might be landing, but I'm also going to get hit too. And the problem is, when you're fighting people like Manon Fiorot, who she didn't fight, but that was a matchup that we thought we were going to see, Maycee Barber, who's extremely heavy-handed. I'll throw Jessica Andrade into that category because she's kind of a tweener between this division and strawweight. I think that's an awful style to have. And the thing is, if you automatically found out that Jessica Ai, almost at her 36th birthday, was on a 4-fight losing streak, like, that would make sense. This isn't unheard of. She is quite old in her career, so I do expect Maycee Barber to get the win.
And if you do think that, hey, Jessica Ai, her second to last win was over Caitlin Chookagian, you'd be right, and those are facts. Both of us in this matchup going with the future. That's just the nickname. Maycee Barber to get the win. The future, Ian Garry's taking on Gabe Green. That's a fight that I'm excited about. We have some big-time fights left on this card, including the 2 title fights at the top. So keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.